So why did Julia Roberts win the Best Actress Oscar for Erin Brockovich? Hey guys, it's Brian. Welcome to the awards contender. After doing this YouTube channel for many years, I am finally breaking down the many reasons why Julia Roberts won the Academy Award for Best Actress. Was she always a lock to win this? Did Ellen Burstyn, for her incredible performance in Requiem for a Dream, have any shot in overtaking Roberts? I am talking about it all today, but before I get to the main reasons why Roberts won that Oscar, let's go through the other Best Actress nominees at the 73rd Academy Awards, which took place on March 25th, 2001. Laura Linney, You Can Count on Me.
You don't write me for 6 months. I don't know where you are. I don't know if you're alive or dead, and then suddenly you show up out of nowhere, you tell me you were in jail.
So this was Laura Linney's first Oscar nomination. She had been around for many years, oftentimes in supporting roles in films, like Primal Fear, like Absolute Power. I absolutely adore her performance in The Truman Show, one of my 10 favorite films of all time. So throughout the 90s, she had slowly been rising in the ranks of respected actresses in Hollywood, and in 2000 we get a rare, at the time, starring role for Laura Linney in You Can Count on Me, an independent drama which had its splashy world premiere at the Sundance Film Festival and just was an immediate critical darling that year. The story of a contentious relationship between two siblings, co-starring Mark Ruffalo, who also kind of had his breakthrough dramatic moment that year. Laura Linney in this film was just too spectacular to ignore. I mean, she had been passed over by the Oscars and pretty much every awards body 2 years prior for The Truman Show in supporting actress. She would have been a very deserving nominee that year, I would say. But You Can Count on Me had such a fine rollout. Like when it finally opened later in 2000, it became one of those showcases for great acting that year, and for her performance, Laura Linney received a Golden Globe nomination, a SAG nomination, and her first Oscar nomination in Best Actress. Juliette Binoche, Chocolat.
It's nice to see you. Would you like to come in for some chocolate?
So Juliette Binoche was no stranger to the Oscars around 2000, right? She had won the Best Supporting Actress Academy Award a few years prior for The English Patient in a stunning upset over Lauren Bacall, who was very much favored that night at the Oscars to win Supporting Actress for The Mirror Has Two Faces. Juliette Binoche was so stunned she had no speech prepared, just says a couple things and then walks off the stage. So 4 years later, we get Chocolat, which surprisingly, I would say, became like the big awards contender that year for Miramax. Like they had had a pretty remarkable run at the Oscars the previous few years. Speaking of The English Patient, right? 96, that was a Miramax movie. 97, Good Will Hunting. 98, Shakespeare in Love. And 99, The Cider House Rules. So we get to 2000 and it's like, okay, what's going to be the Best Picture Oscar nominee Miramax film this year? And it turned out to be Chocolat, which, was a fine film. It's entertaining at times. I love me some chocolate. So like the food porn of Chocolat is entertaining to watch at times, but nobody, I think, was expecting that movie to get in at the Oscars in picture, in actress, in supporting actress, in a bunch of categories. It really did come on strong at the end. The story of a single mother who opens a chocolate shop in a French town in the late 1950s. This film definitely has a charm about it, but it doesn't really scream Oscar, right? So like Juliette Binoche getting in at the Golden Globes in Best Actress in a Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy, fine. That could have been the end of the road that award season for Binoche, but then she got in at SAG, and then she got the Oscar nomination for Best Actress, still to date her only Academy Award nomination in that category. Joan Allen, The Contender.
I'm sorry, I can't do it. Not over this.
And if I know our president, he's not going to allow me or himself to get shot down over what would have been a private sexual encounter.
What an astonishing actress Joan Allen is, right? I mean, this nomination for The Contender was her third at the Oscars. Just a few years prior, she had been nominated in the Supporting Actress category at the Academy Awards, first for Nixon, 1995, and then The Crucible, 1996. That second nomination, she was in the same category with Juliette Binoche, who was there for The English Patient. She kept doing very good work throughout the 1990s, especially Pleasantville, 1998. I adore her performance in that movie. That she didn't get an Oscar nomination for Pleasantville is kind of crazy. The same category I wanted Laura Linney to get in for The Truman Show, so obviously that was a very stacked year in supporting actress. But was Joan Allen ever going to receive a Best Actress nomination? It didn't seem like it was in the cards because she was almost always the supporting actress in the movie. But along came The Contender, where Allen plays Senator Lane Hansen, who is a contender for the Vice President of the United States. Jeff Bridges plays the president, but this is Joan Allen's story. This is her movie. And unlike, I'd say, any other film she'd been a part of, The Contender really gave her a chance to shine and show off her dramatic chops in a riveting 2-hour movie that was just adored by the critics near the end of 2000. The Contender was never going to be a blockbuster at the cinemas, right? Kind of like You Can Count on Me, the success for The Contender was going to come through the reviews and come awards time. Could Joan Allen get her first Oscar nomination in the Best Actress category? Of course she could. She got the Golden Globe nomination first, and then she got the SAG nomination, and in early 2001, Joan Allen received her third Oscar nomination. Ellen Burstyn, Requiem for a Dream.
I like thinking about the red dress and the television and you and your father. Now when I get the sun, I smile.
One of the great performances in the movies in 2000, if not the very best performance. Ellen Burstyn is frickin' phenomenal in Darren Aronofsky's Requiem for a Dream. One of the harder watches of that year, I would say, even though I do consider Requiem for a Dream the best film of 2000. I think that's the best movie that year. I've only seen it maybe 3 times because it is difficult to get through, but it has such a haunting power to it. The cinematography, the editing, the sound design, everything works beautifully in Requiem for a Dream. And then you have that performance by Ellen Burstyn that is transformative. We almost never see an actress at her age range, like when that movie came out, take on a role like this and show us a completely different side of a performer who's been lauded many times before, who's won an Oscar before. Like Ellen Burstyn had been doing amazing work in the 70s, in the 80s, and the 90s, but Requiem for a Dream showed us a new side to her, one of confidence, of risk-taking in this film, all about drug addiction. I mean, she is on another level in this film, especially in the third act, I would say. And so her not getting awards love for that performance would have felt wrong. That would have been a tragedy, I would say. Just because it's like an independent film, you know, this wasn't a big movie. It wasn't like playing on 3,000 screens across the country, and because of the subject matter, I mean, I could have seen a reality where the film was so difficult to watch for awards voters that Burstyn just couldn't quite make it. I think ultimately her performance in Requiem for a Dream is so monumental, it just couldn't go ignored. And so she got in at the Golden Globes, she got in at SAG, and she got her 6th very well-deserved Oscar nomination in Best Actress. And Julia Roberts, Erin Brockovich.
It's not personal. That is my work. My sweat, my time away from my kids. If that's not personal, I don't know what is.
Julia Roberts' film career came on so strong at the beginning there with Mystic Pizza and then Steel Magnolias, which won her a Golden Globe and got her her first Oscar nomination, and then Pretty Woman 1 year later, which got her another Globes win and her second Oscar nomination, this one in Best Actress. You kind of knew after Pretty Woman, Julia Roberts was going to win an Academy Award one day. It just had to be the right timing, the right project. It probably wasn't going to be like 91, 92. It might take a while. But you knew, like her Oscar win was coming. Now she did have to wait a full decade after Pretty Woman and see her career have its ups and downs, you know. She had some big hits that decade, like The Pelican Brief, like My Best Friend's Wedding, like Notting Hill, but she also had a bunch of flops, right? Like I Love Trouble and Mary Riley. Not everything was hitting with audiences, but after My Best Friend's Wedding, her career was back on track, and then she was in Conspiracy Theory and Stepmom and Notting Hill and Runaway Bride. Not all of those movies are great, I would say, but they all made money. And that brings us to Erin Brockovich, which opened in theaters in March 2000 and became pretty quickly, I would say, her obvious Oscar movie. In this captivating real-life drama about law firm secretary Erin Brockovich, who stumbles upon something that changes her life forever, discovering wrongdoing by the Pacific Gas and Electric Company over their culpability for the Hinkley groundwater contamination incident of the early 90s, she might not have a lot of experience, but she works tirelessly to bring justice to the victims in this small town. As Erin Brockovich, Julia Roberts delivers one of her most appealing performances, one of her most dramatically powerful and hilarious at times, emotionally devastating at others. Just a masterclass performance from Roberts, unlike anything else she has done before or since. The movie was a hit with critics. It was a huge hit with audiences, making more than $200 million worldwide. And so, yeah, award season for Roberts seemed inevitable in a way. I feel like her biggest hurdle that year was making sure enough people remembered Erin Brockovich by the end of 2000. I mean, the film did open in March, right? Like, that's pretty early in the year, and sometimes awards voters tend to forget things. I think the movie being a hit on DVD and VHS in 2000 also helped, like kept her at the top of everyone's minds as we entered award season. And pretty early on, I would say, Julia Roberts became the frontrunner, the favorite to win the Best Actress Academy Award for Erin Brockovich. And on the night of March 25th, 2001 at the Oscars, hosted that year by Steve Martin, any other name read aloud as the winner other than Julia Roberts would have been a total shocker. Why? Here are the top 10 reasons Julia Roberts won the Academy Award for Best Actress. Number 1, and this is the most important reason I would say, she won every major televised precursor award. From the Golden Globes to BAFTA, Roberts took it all. I had to look back a few hours ago. I was like, did she win everything? Maybe she lost to Burstyn or Linney or someone somewhere along the way, like a Critics' Choice, BAFTA maybe? No, guys. Julia Roberts for Erin Brockovich in Best Actress, she won everything. She won first at the Golden Globes. She won at Critics' Choice over considerable competition. She won at SAG. She won at BAFTA. And so outside of like the Russell Crowe incident in early 2002, that's like the only one in the modern era where someone took the prizes everywhere, from the Globes to BAFTA, but then lost the Oscar. If you miss one along the way, then you become vulnerable, especially if you miss like SAG or BAFTA. Then you might lose the Oscar. As we found out this year, Demi Moore for The Substance won at the Globes, Critics' Choice, and SAG, lost at BAFTA, lost the Oscar to Mikey Madison. But if you can win everything along the way, it's very hard to lose the Oscar, and that was the case for Julia Roberts that year. Number 2, Erin Brockovich was nominated at the Oscars in Best Picture and Best Director. So yeah, those precursor wins are number 1 to be sure, but what are some other reasons why Roberts took this? I think a big one is that Erin Brockovich was a very popular film that award season. It wasn't just an actress play. If she had been the only nominee for that movie every step of the way, she still probably would have won, kind of like Julianne Moore for Still Alice. Like, it happens, right? Even if you are the lone nominee for that movie, if people think like this is your moment, they might still give you the Oscar. I still think that probably would have happened with Roberts, but it absolutely helped guarantee her victory with Erin Brockovich getting into both Best Director and Best Picture. It showed a strength for that film that went beyond just her performance, and back then when Best Picture was only 5 nominees, not 10, like getting into that field was tough sometimes. And for Erin Brockovich, which, in many ways is talked about as a Julia Roberts vehicle, like that getting into picture was a huge success. It was never going to win, but Steven Soderbergh took Best Director, not for Erin Brockovich, but for Traffic. So Soderbergh won a big prize that night too. As is the case still to this day, if your film can get into picture and director, it's that much easier to win an acting Oscar. Number 3, Roberts' co-star Albert Finney getting an Oscar nomination in Best Supporting Actor. This was also key, I think. It wasn't only Roberts getting into the acting categories at the Oscars for Erin Brockovich. Albert Finney was also nominated for his wonderful performance in Best Supporting Actor. Something that is also still the case to this day, like to win a leading actor or actress Oscar, it does help to have one of your co-stars in the supporting categories. I mean, just this year, we had a very tight race in Best Actress between Mikey Madison and Demi Moore, whose co-star was nominated in the supporting categories at the Oscars. Not Moore. Margaret Qualley for The Substance did not get that Academy Award nomination in Supporting Actress, but Madison's co-star Yura Borisov got in everywhere in Supporting Actor for Anora, and I still think like that helped Madison a little bit, the same way Albert Finney getting into Supporting Actor at the Oscars for Erin Brockovich totally helped secure Roberts get that win. I love how she mentions him in her speech.
This movie was sinfully fun to make. And Albert Finney is my friend and my pleasure to act with.
Now, Roberts wasn't the only Best Actress Oscar nominee that year. With a co-star in a supporting category, we had 2 others. Joan Allen's co-star Jeff Bridges got into Best Supporting Actor for The Contender, and Juliette Binoche's co-star Judi Dench, Shaka Law, got into Best Supporting Actress. So this element, like, it doesn't mean you're absolutely going to win the Oscar in the leading categories. It's just something that helps. Number 4, Erin Brockovich was a huge box office hit. So let's face it, right? This played a role too. Erin Brockovich was the only movie that got into Best Actress that year that actually made a lot of money at the box office. I think Shaka Law did okay. Requiem for a Dream, You Can Count on Me, and The Contender did not make much money. And not to say year to year, like the biggest blockbuster sensation is going to win at the Oscars in lead actor and lead actress and things, but Erin Brockovich being as beloved a movie as it was, not just by critics and awards voters, but also by audiences, sometimes that does give someone a bump to win an Oscar. I think that helped, absolutely, Sandra Bullock win Best Actress for The Blind Side, her movie being such a smash hit at the end of 2009. If The Blind Side had just done okay at the box office, Bullock doesn't necessarily win that, I think. But star power, sometimes in Best Actress at the Oscars, that does play a factor. And Roberts' star power in Erin Brockovich, like leading that movie to being that gargantuan hit, that played a role in getting Roberts that Best Actress victory as well. Number 5, Julia Roberts was on her 3rd Oscar nomination without a win. So not to say that Roberts was overdue necessarily, like a 3rd Oscar nomination. That doesn't always guarantee someone's going to win. I mean, that year, Joan Allen was on her 3rd Oscar nomination. And, she couldn't cut it there. Amy Adams has 6 nominations to date. Glenn Close has 8, and they haven't won yet. So sometimes that's not like at the top of awards voters' minds. If they didn't care for the performance that much, if they don't love the movie, it's still hard to win, even if you're on your 3rd or 4th or 5th nomination without a victory. But Roberts having 2 previous Oscar nominations without a victory, that did help a little bit, I would say, secure her win for Erin Brockovich. If that had been her first nomination, if she had never been nominated before, she probably still would have won. Like Sandra Bullock again, that was her first nomination for The Blind Side, and she won for that. But Roberts had shown many times before that she was a capable actress, like with 2 Oscar nominations, with films that weren't Oscar nominated, like My Best Friend's Wedding and Notting Hill, and, she had been doing good work for many years. And so not to say that she was overdue, really, in early 2001, but Academy voters could look at Roberts and Best Actress for Erin Brockovich and say, well, we really liked her in Steel Magnolias and Pretty Woman, and she didn't win there. Let's give her the win for Erin Brockovich. Number 6, Roberts playing a real-life person. So something the Academy loves, right? They love it when an actor plays a real-life figure in a true life story. Almost every year, we get an acting Oscar win for a real person, right? Biopics, those things are catnip for awards voters. I mean, it's often like music biopics as of late that get in, that win. Rami Malek, Bohemian Rhapsody. You also have presidents, of course. Daniel Day-Lewis, Lincoln. Last year, we had Cillian Murphy, of course, win Best Actor for Oppenheimer. That was a real-life story, and so it happens all the time. Not every year, but usually. And Julia Roberts playing Erin Brockovich, like having that be a real story, a real person, I do think that adds a little bit, like from awards voters, to give her the win. Every other nominee that year in Best Actress at the Oscars were for fictional characters, right? Roberts was the only one who played someone who actually exists. And so whether it's like a tight race or someone is way out in front, as was the case, I would say, with Roberts for early 2001 at the Oscars, I do think Roberts playing a real person was yet another reason why she took the gold trophy. Number 7, Julia Roberts is that entire film. I mean, is there a scene in that movie without Roberts? Like, maybe there's like a quick flash of Albert Finney, and like maybe there's like 5 minutes of that movie where we spend like a little bit of time with 2 other characters, like before Erin Brockovich shows up on the scene or something. But basically every scene of Erin Brockovich for more than 2 hours is Julia Roberts through and through. That is her movie, that is her story from beginning to end. So if you love that film and you love that performance, why wouldn't you give Roberts the Oscar? She is that entire movie. Number 8, Ellen Burstyn, who I would say was her closest competitor, had some cons to her campaign. So yeah, I do think if there was anyone who could have overtaken Roberts in a total shocker for Best Actress at the Oscars, it was Ellen Burstyn for Requiem for a Dream. To this day, people, probably every day, like all the time, say, wait, Ellen Burstyn lost the Oscar for Requiem for a Dream to Julia Roberts for Erin Brockovich? Are you freaking kidding me? That comes up all the time. Everybody says Burstyn should have won. And yes, Burstyn would have been an all-timer win. That would have been amazing, right? In a different year, in a less competitive year, I do think Burstyn could have pulled it off. She was just up against a juggernaut, man. Like there was no way she was beating Roberts. Sorry. The only way Burstyn could have taken it was just like based on the power of her performance, the strength of what she does in Requiem for a Dream. if enough Oscar voters had seen it and said, you know, Julia Roberts is great and Erin Brockovich, but Ellen Burstyn is phenomenal. Like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime performance. Let's give it to Burstyn. But there were a few problems with her campaign. Number one, I would say, is that Requiem for a Dream could not get nominated in any other category but Best Actress. It couldn't get into director for Aronofsky. It couldn't get into picture, obviously. It couldn't get into another acting category or screenplay. Like, when you're the lone nominee for your movie, that does put you in a vulnerable place, and that was the case, I would say, with Burstyn. Another thing is that Ellen Burstyn had won an Academy Award in the 70s for Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. She was on her 6th nomination for Requiem for a Dream. If she had never won, like, maybe there could have been an overdue narrative for her. Like, she got all of these nominations in the 70s and things. Like, she is one of our best, and she's never won an Oscar. Like, maybe that would have gotten her closer to the victory. But I think because she already had one, you know, that hurt her campaign a little bit. Something else is that she's not in all of Requiem for a Dream. She's only in parts of that movie. You know, it's an ensemble piece. You also have Jared Leto and Jennifer Connelly and Marlon Wayans, and like, she's not the entire movie the way Roberts is in all of Erin Brockovich. I mean, Burstyn got into a few places with critics and things in Best Supporting Actress, not Best Leading Actress. And, you know, with the chaos that was Best Supporting Actress that year, which I will make a video about, I promise, down the road. I am going to talk about Marcia Gay Harden's win for Pollock. If Ellen Burstyn had gone supporting for Requiem for a Dream, she probably would have swept the season. A couple other reasons Burstyn didn't win, like she didn't take Golden Globes or Critics' Choice or BAFTA or SAG. Like, she wasn't even nominated at BAFTA, if you can believe it. She won Best Actress at the Film Independent Spirit Awards, but that's not enough. Like, Roberts wasn't nominated there, of course, so. And Requiem for a Dream deals with very difficult subject matter. Erin Brockovich is a much more appealing film, a much easier watch for awards voters, you know, especially at home, like their DVD screener. It's a much more pleasant experience to watch Erin Brockovich than it is to watch Requiem for a Dream. So all of those reasons put together is why ultimately Ellen Burstyn lost to Julia Roberts. Number 9, the other 3 contenders in Best Actress really weren't in the running. I very much feel like the other 3 nominees in Best Actress that year were just happy to be there. Laura Linney and Juliette Binoche and Joan Allen, like, they were never winning this. Laura Linney was on her first nomination. It was a small indie movie. The only other category it got into was original screenplay. So yeah, like, Linney wasn't winning that. Juliette Binoche, as I talked about, already had an Oscar win. So I think that hurt her chances a little bit. Her movie got into picture, and she had a co-star nominated. So, like, there were a couple things there, but I think her film was ultimately looked at as, like, too frothy, too lightweight. Like, she wasn't going to win Best Actress for that. I would have put Joan Allen in 3rd place, probably, because she had a co-star nominated, and this was her 3rd Oscar nomination without a win. So maybe Allen was in 3rd, we'll probably never know. But because her movie, you know, it wasn't a big box office hit, it didn't get into picture or director or screenplay even. The Contender only got those 2 nominations, Best Actress for Allen and Best Supporting Actor for Bridges. So it didn't get that many nominations. Like, it wasn't that beloved a movie, I would say. So Allen I would have in 3rd place. Really, Burstyn was the only one who could have maybe taken it, like, in a shocker. Like, these other 3 were just happy to be here. And finally, the number 10 reason why Julia Roberts won the Oscar for Erin Brockovich is that it's her best performance. It's her career best, I would say, and it's not even close. Like, I would put Pretty Woman at number 2. Like, she's great in that. That's the film that made her a star. But even though she's given, like, more than a dozen, I would say, excellent performances, comedic, dramatic, throughout the decades, going all the way back to the 80s, her best performance is Erin Brockovich. So here is a rare circumstance, I would say, where someone wins their Oscar for their very best work. That's Julia Roberts and Erin Brockovich. She was the perfect casting for that role at that time, and she just gives it everything she has. It is a spectacular performance. Is she as good in Erin Brockovich as Ellen Burstyn is in Requiem for a Dream? No. Ellen Burstyn gave the better performance. I think almost all of us would agree with that. Like, Burstyn in Requiem for a Dream is something else. That is a landmark, all-timer performance for the ages. But Julia Roberts is also frickin' fantastic in Erin Brockovich, and I love that Best Actress Oscar win. I do. Even though Burstyn had the better performance, like if we're comparing the two, Roberts having an Academy Award for her very best performance fills me with joy. I love that moment. I love her speech. And I love Julia Roberts in Erin Brockovich.
Really making me feel so... I love it up here.
Thanks so much for watching and subscribing, and let me know in the comments below, what do you think of that Best Actress Oscar win for Julia Roberts, and I'll see you next time at the Awards Contender.